Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us at this Awareness Day event, World Hypopara Awareness Day 2021. I'm Liz Glenister. I'm the founder and CEO at Parathyroid UK, which I founded in 2005, and we have around 3,500 members now. Like the American Hypoparathyroidism Association, we also provide support and information for patients living with the rare and challenging condition of hypoparathyroidism. We work closely with our medical advisors and industry partners as well to support research into new treatments. We also spend a great deal of time raising awareness with them, exhibiting and presenting at conferences, which I think both sides find really useful. Particularly with rare conditions, to get as much information and learning going on is a really helpful thing to do. And we raise awareness to the public and of course to patients. Today, we're running our famous annual online Hypopara Day party, bringing together patients from all around the world to celebrate their lives. And I think it shows how much we need our community, or Hypopara family, as we call it, when you realize that people from over 27 countries joined this event last year. So this event today here is the brainchild of a remarkable patient who's become a well-known advocate for our condition, Ariana Feiner. I've never met Ariana in person. Like most of us, we met online. But we became particular friends when one day she heard my call for help because one of our UK patient members was traveling in the US, and her PTH supplies were frozen in the fridge in the hotel where she was staying. So Ariana picked up the call, rushed to her rescue, and she and Hannah became best friends. So that's the kind of person she is, and explains why she's an award-winning director of the film that you're about to see. My co-host for this event is Bob Sanders, who's chair of the Hypoparathyroidism Association, who I'm going to hand over to in a second. So enjoy the programme. Remember to let us know where you're joining from, and happy Hypopara Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. My name is Bob Sanders. Like Liz said, I am chair of the board chair for the Hypoparathyroidism Association. This organization was founded by my father in 1995 with just hopes of bringing the community together and advocating for change. And we are honored to be a part of this special event. In 2018, Ariana was scheduled to be the keynote speaker at the annual Hypoparathyroidism Association conference held in Chicago. Unfortunately, she was not able to attend and was asked to create a video that we could share instead. In the video, she speaks about her journey, the challenges that she encountered while living with hypoparathyroidism. She speaks of her struggles, along with her determination to move forward while being grateful for what she has and what she is still able to do. Most of all, she speaks of hope that so many of us in the community need today. I have fond memories of watching her video and reading her book with my daughter, who was also diagnosed with hypoparathyroidism at the age of 10. She also has had many challenges along her journey, but was inspired by the words of wisdom spoken by Ariana. Now she is no longer afraid of the unknown. She is filled with hope for the future. So I want to thank Ariana for changing my daughter's life, and I hope that you will be inspired by her words as well. So please remember to show your support. Let us know where you're from. And with pleasure, I'd like to welcome you, or please welcome Ariana Feiner.
Hi, I'm Ariana Feiner. Thank you so much, Liz and Bob, for those beautiful introductions, and welcome to everyone who came here today to celebrate World Hypoparathyroidism Awareness Day with us. It was a huge honor for me to be invited to be a part of this event and just to share this platform with these giants in the Hypopara organizations, Liz and Bob. I'm so honored to share this platform with you. As Bob mentioned, my documentary short film, A Story of Courage, I created it for the Hypoparathyroidism Conference in 2018. And since that time that it was shown at the conference, it's sort of been on a whole other chapter. I'm visiting over 30 film festivals internationally. And I'm so excited that we're going to be able to share it with you today. And just sharing this film is the best way that I can just tell you a little bit about myself and my journey. So here it is, and I hope that you enjoy it.
When I was 16 years old, I had no idea my life was about to change forever. My journey with hypoparathyroidism began with a surgical complication. The summer before my junior year of high school, I was diagnosed with a condition called Graves' disease, and to treat it, I had surgery to have my thyroid removed. During the surgery, 4 other organs called the parathyroids were also removed inadvertently. The 4 parathyroids live behind the thyroid in the neck. Their job is to regulate the calcium in our blood. For about 3 years, my calcium level was so unstable that every few weeks, emergency measures had to be taken to save my life. At any moment and with no warning, my calcium level would drop dangerously low, which affected my heart, my muscles, and my ability to breathe. It was a very scary time. I was always waiting for the next time I would have to rush to the ER for emergency IV calcium. After about 3 years, my calcium levels got a little more stable. However, my life outside the hospital is only possible with a strict schedule of medicine over the 24 hours of the day. Every person with hypoparathyroidism manages their condition differently, but we all have to regulate our calcium from the outside of our bodies. This is extremely difficult because the body's need for calcium is constantly changing. There is no cure for hypoparathyroidism, only treatment for the symptoms. My life went so quickly from a regular high school student to a person with a medical condition and a lot of physical limitations. Even once I was able to live outside the hospital, I was very weak and unable to return to school. I watched my friends move forward while I could hardly walk down the sidewalk I used to run down. I felt like I didn't know who I was anymore. I realized that I had to make a choice. I could either be sad forever about the normal lifestyle I'd lost, or I could be grateful for everything I still had and push forward. I had to come to terms with a new version of myself. I didn't have the physical strength to do the things I used to love, so I decided I would build a new me by finding new interests. Most of my day was filled with taking medications, so I searched for evening continuing education classes to see if I could find something that would bring me joy. Once a week, I took an introduction to watercolor class at a local art center. Then I attended a philosophy lecture series at a nearby college. I joined a meditation club. I took a poetry class. I realized that in 1 hour each week, you can actually learn a lot about yourself. I looked everywhere for resources for young people with health conditions, and I was disappointed when I didn't find too many. That's what inspired me to write my children's book, Ariana Rose, A Story of Courage. Ariana Rose, A Story of Courage is a rhyming story that follows a girl on a trip to the doctor's office and back to school. I know how overwhelming it can be to find the right words when people ask you about having a health condition. So my main goal with Ariana Rose, A Story of Courage is to give kids easy-to-remember mantras to keep in their pocket. I take special medicine and get extra rest. Have a positive attitude and do my best. It will get easier after a while, so I always keep hope and remember to smile. Because hypoparathyroidism is so rare, the small community stretches around the world. Ariana tells her friends not to worry or fret. She's still the same girl she was when they met. I have been able to donate my book to children in many countries, and on a few occasions, I have even been able to do international book readings over Skype. Being able to see these kids connect with my book has changed my life. I would like children with health conditions to know that they're not alone, and I want their classmates to see a positive example of acceptance. I used to be a person who wanted to do everything for myself. But one thing I've learned is that you don't have to be afraid to ask for help. I've I've found that people can be very kind and accommodating if they know what you need. I've gone from being a person who felt weak saying, "I'm so sorry to bother you," to being a person who feels strong saying, "I have a health condition, and here is what I need to succeed." It would only be half the story if I told you I've come this far by myself. My mom, my dad, and my brother mean everything to me, and they're always there to help me remember to take life one day at a time. We all face something in our lives, and it's not our obstacles that define us, it's the way we face them. Your life is so valuable. Whether you have a chronic illness or a limb difference or a disability, that doesn't define who you are. You are not your health condition. You are so much more.
Thank you so much for playing my film. As I said in the film, being able to connect with children all over the world through my book has changed my life, and I'm so grateful for that experience. I am so excited now to have the opportunity to do a special live reading of my book for you tonight. So let's get started. And here it is. And we're going to have the illustrations pulled up for you. Ariana Rose, A Story of Courage. Written by Ariana Feiner, illustrated by David Bowie. To all children, especially those who have a delicate medical condition, always keep hope and remember to smile. This is a girl named Ariana Rose. She likes to draw pictures and wear dress-up clothes. She loves going to school to see her best friend, dancing and singing and playing pretend. Ariana has green eyes, pink cheeks, and gold curls, but something makes her different from the other boys and girls. She plays tag at recess and runs all around, but then she gets tired and has to sit down. Ariana feels dizzy when she gets home that night. She tells her mom that she doesn't feel right. She feels kind of funny and feels kind of sore, a kind of weak feeling she'd never felt before. Mom calls the doctor to ask what to do. The doctor says come here tomorrow at 2. So Mom takes Ariana to Dr. Levine, where they wait in a room that's chilly and clean. The doctor pops out and calls her name. Ariana goes with him, still feeling the same. He examines her ears, her throat, and her eyes. He listens to her heart and measures her size. Ariana's doctor tells her after they're through, "You have a health condition and I can help you. Follow this schedule of medicine and rest, have a positive attitude, and do your best. It will get easier after a while, so you must keep hope and remember to smile." Ariana takes her medicine as the doctor requests. She comes back home, has a snack, and she rests. The very next week, Ariana feels better. She goes back to school in her favorite pink sweater. Her friends are happy to see her and ask, "Are you okay? We missed you in class." Ariana describes what she has to her peers. They gather around her with open ears. "I take special medicine and get extra rest, have a positive attitude and do my best. It will get easier after a while, so I always keep hope and remember to smile." Ariana tells her friends not to worry or fret. She is still the same girl she was when they met. She's brave and she is strong from her head to her toes. This is a girl named Ariana Rose. The end. Thank you so much. And now I am going to hand it back over to Liz and Bob for the Q&A.
Thank you, Ariana. That was just absolutely wonderful. I've watched that film so many times, and every time it moves me. And I think it's because that message of having a positive attitude and that change in your self-image to get there is just so important to everybody with a chronic health condition. And it's the same message in your beautiful children's book. And for children, that's a powerful thing to help them through diagnosis and on with their journey. So now we're going to have a little Q&A with questions that have been sent in from the Hypopara community on the webpage. And I don't know if you're ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready to go.
So the first question is, what gives you courage?
What gives me courage? Well, first of all, I have a wonderful supportive family, supportive friends and community who I'm really lucky to have just to lean on and to give me encouragement every single day. So lucky to have really wonderful parents. And also a huge thing that gives me strength is the Hypopara community. I know you spoke about a little bit in the beginning of when we first met, and I just wanted to reiterate a little bit that when I first met Liz was the first person that I ever connected with who had hypoparathyroidism. And I live in America, and even though I live here, Hypopara UK was the first Hypopara charity that I connected with. And when I spoke to Liz for the first time, I think it was about 2 years after my diagnosis. And it was just so magical because I finally had connected with one other person who had hypoparathyroidism. And not only that, but she had this entire community behind her. And I knew that after I met Liz that I would never be alone in having hypopara again. And so thank you so much, Liz. That really meant a lot to me. So yes, definitely my parents, my family, my community, and the Hypopara community gives me courage.
Thank you. That's lovely.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that. Another question that came in was, what is the most important message in your children's book, Ariana Rose, A Story for Courage?
The most important message in my children's book, Ariana Rose's Story of Courage, is that a health condition or a disability may be a part of you, and it may be a part of your life, and it may be a big part of your life, but it doesn't define the wonderful person that you are and that you always have been. And really the page that I feel like speaks to that the most, my favorite page in the book, is the page where Ariana returns back to school after she has been to the doctor and she is diagnosed with a health condition. And she tells her friends, Ariana tells her friends not to worry or fret. She is still the same girl she was when they met. And I feel like that's really the crux of my book, is that she wants her friends and her family to know, and everyone around her to know, that she is still who she always has been. She's still the same girl that she was when they met. So that is definitely the most important message in my book.
And a very important one too, for everybody, and teachers as well, who will have children with chronic conditions in their classes. So next question. What advice would you give to someone newly diagnosed with a chronic health condition like hypopara?
Well, first of all, just what I had previously said about finding a community where you can connect with other people who share the same condition, as I said, has been so incredibly valuable. And then also the other biggest piece of advice that I think that I would give someone who was recently diagnosed with a chronic health condition is not to be afraid to ask for help. And I really think that asking for what you need is so important. And sometimes, you know, in our culture, we are just conditioned to not want to bother people, or, you know, not want to, trouble anyone. And I think that it's really important when you have a chronic health condition just to feel comfortable to be able to ask for what you need. And sometimes I feel like most of the time people are very good and very kind and really do want to help you. And sometimes they just don't know exactly how. And so I feel like it's so important just to ask for what you need, and don't be afraid to ask really specifically, so that people around you know exactly how they can help you, and don't be afraid to ask for exactly what you need to succeed.
Good answer.
Thank
Such
you.
Such good words of wisdom there. I know it's helped my daughter a lot throughout her life. But this will be the last question, unfortunately. We enjoyed having you with us, and we could do this all day long if we had the time. But the question is what have you learned through your experience, and what wouldn't you have learned otherwise?
I really like this question, because there has been so much that I have learned through this experience. And really, when I first got Hypopara, I was only 16 years old, and I was just doing sort of the same thing that everyone else around me was doing. I was just a high school student, and I had this plan for my life, and the plan was I was going to go into healthcare, and I was going to help sick people feel better. And the reason I really wanted to do that is because my dad is a physician. I admire him so much, and my mom, who is also in the medical field, who is basically a physician, and my grandmother was a physician. I just had this whole family of people who are in healthcare, and just, took so much joy from helping people. And I thought, okay, that's totally my path too. And then when I got this diagnosis, and I had to really spend a lot of my life after that in the hospital, and just it really changed my life a lot. And I sort of realized, I don't think I'm going to be able to be on that same plan that I thought. And it was really devastating. And I thought, oh my gosh, this plan that I had is ruined. And I was really distraught over that. And then, it took me a long time, because I thought, how am I going to put these pieces back together and continue? But I'm very lucky, because I have so much support in my life, and I really was able to realize that I could keep going. And I sort of realized maybe that this life is not about having a plan, and maybe you can't plan for everything. Maybe just plans change. And a huge reason that I wrote my children's book, Ariana Rose's Story of Courage, really, like, a huge kind of problem that I saw was, I knew that when I was speaking with people, whether it was physicians or whether it was friends, it was so difficult for me when people would ask me, how are you, and what happened, and how is your health? I would just totally freeze and not know how to answer. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I am a young adult and I am having this challenge where I am trying to find the right words of how to answer this huge question, I thought surely these young children who have health conditions are also in that situation. So I thought, okay, what if I could write a book or a guide that could just give these children who were also asked these same questions, mantras that they could just keep in their pocket and just have, and just know, and just keep on the tip of their tongue. And so that's really why I wrote, I take special medicine and get extra rest, have a positive attitude, and do my best. It will get easier after a while. So I always keep hope and remember to smile. Really, I wrote those to be mantras that kids could easily pull on and just have on the tip of their tongue, so they weren't really put in that situation. And so then when I published the book, I was able to get so much feedback from this really wonderful Hypopara community that was around the world, all these children and all these parents. And they said, my child has hypoparathyroidism, and she takes your book to school with her and is able to share it with the other students in her class and her friends and say, this is me, this is what my life is like. I am like this girl in this book. This is who I am. And that it gives children confidence. And that has really, just hearing that feedback has made everything in my world really feel worth it. And I sort of came around to realize that I did reach my goal that I had put out for myself of wanting to help sick people feel better, and that it was just in a different way. And, I may not have been a doctor, or a healthcare, professional who's providing medicine to make sick people feel better, but that I could use my words to make sick people feel better. And so I sort of came around to have this realization that even though a plan in our life might fall apart, that we can still find these creative solutions to still reach our goals. And I feel like that is the most important thing that I've learned in this journey. Okay, well, thank you so much. I think that was the last question, correct? I think that was our final Q&A. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap up this event. Thank you so much to everyone who came out tonight to join us and to celebrate Hypopara Awareness Day. We're so happy that you came. I would like to thank Ascendis Pharma for hosting and supporting this event. I would also like to give a massive thank you to Amy Knuffler, who really put her whole heart into this event and made it wonderful. Amy Knuffler from Ascendis, thank you so much. You made this an amazing experience. And before I sign off, I would just like to give an extra special message to all of my young readers who are watching from home tonight. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here tonight. And I want to tell you that you are so strong and you are so brave. You are amazing, and keep up the great work. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us today. Happy Hypoparathyroidism Awareness Day, and hope you have a great day. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Goodbye.